Fight Nation on Sirius XM.
Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East co-host. To my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan, Tom, and back east producing the show, Classy Kelly. What up?
What's up, everybody? What's going on?
Not much. Happy Friday, August 2nd to everybody. We are now in the last month of what they say is summer. Although, I'm already hearing my kids go back to school like in about a week or two. That still boggles my mind. I always thought you get all of August, and then sometime in September we start worrying about shopping for Levi's and school supplies and all that jazz.
Like September 12th, 13th?
Hell no.
No?
It always used to be for us. Labor Day.
I remember it was before our birthdays.
Labor Day was a Monday. It wasn't even Tuesday. It was Wednesday, and then you started school. But now I'm hearing kids are starting school next week, mid-August. Who knows? Honestly,
what's the worst that's gonna happen? I mean,
it just
can't get any
still
dumber.
It still just shocks me. Like, I feel like your summer should be your summer. That's kind of that's a summer month.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going back? I guess some say that they have a longer winter break. Well, why do you need such a long winter break? It's
the
Christmas and New
kids
Year.
Were weird.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet them? Did you ever have any of those in your group? Where they would go
No,
to school and then take like a month off or a couple weeks and then they would go back to school.
Yeah, but I didn't know many, so I didn't really have too much of an interaction. I know how it worked. I think it was 2 months on, 1 off. 2 months on, 1 off. Yeah, I think that's what it boiled down to. Now, I went to traditional Catholic school, so we had 3 months in the summer, 2 weeks in Christmas, and then the 1 week of spring break. And I think we went after Easter because there was Holy Thursday, Good Friday. Well, actually, yeah. Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then, the whole Easter, and then after that, that's your vacation. Mm-hmm. The public schools, my friends, they would go the week before, so we never really could coordinate that one, but different times. All right, so let's have a fun one here. Last 2 hours of the MMA Junkie Radio Show in the SiriusXM era. Again, thank you to SiriusXM for allowing us to be part of their family for these past 5 years. As you heard, the commish and Jerry Cooney, kind words from those guys. That show just always has such a beautiful handoff to us every Monday and Friday, and we love them too. They were really, really, really nice guys that always treated us well with respect, and we were on their show many times, and so that was very nice of them to say that. Anyway, this is our last show on Sirius, and let's have a fun one. So today we have Nolan King. He's one of the latest additions to MMA Junkie. We kind of did this about a week ago. We brought in Farah Hanoun, Simon Samano, who's been with us, but he kind of started the week off introing some of his hires. Dave Doyle, Simon Head from the UK. There was one gentleman missing. His name is Nolan King. He was on vacation, but I said, how could we not include him?
He's been doing great stuff.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's one thing we've always tried to do is spread the love as much as we can. So excited to talk to him. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Scott Kent, Lion Fight president. He's stopping by 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. He's Lion Fight Muay Thai. He's their president. So this is a Muay Thai league, a very popular Muay Thai league. And they have a show here in Vegas tomorrow night. So we'll talk about.
Some of my favorite live shows have been theirs.
Oh, yeah. I agree, man. When Chris Cyborg was on our show a lot, and we're going to talk about her in about 2 minutes. When she was in her, on our show a lot. It was during her time when she was not yet in the UFC, and she did a little bit of lion fight. She came to as a guest star, and then she also fought there. But yeah, they would roll through a lot of their athletes, and again, they have a show tomorrow night, so we're anxious to talk about their latest card. Yves Edwards, long-time UFC standout in the lightweight division, now retired and broadcasting for the PFL. He'll stop by at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. By the way, I'm saying stop by, but King and Edwards are phoning in. Kent will be in studio, though. Cool. So there you have it. If you want to call in, it's 877-593, 877-344-4893. It's the same number. I'm just working out the digits there for the word fight. On Twitter, you can hit us up at MMA on SiriusXM. All right. So, guys, the big news of the day, UFC is out of the cyborg business. Per Dana White. It didn't even get to the negotiation table or an offer made by Bellator or PFL or anybody else. There was nothing. There was none of it. Dana White did a sit-down interview with Laura Sanko, and we are going to have a couple audio clips to play for that. But the bottom line is he went through a timeline of their history and basically just cut her. Well, that's what he's saying. But, okay, she's technically at this point in time a free agent. There's like a 3-month grace or matching period where there was a period in time where the UFC can negotiate with her, and then when she's eligible to negotiate with other leagues, and then then she can do basically whatever she wants. He's saying, no, we're just going to draw up the papers, and that's it. We're done. Whether they're going to offer her or anything, whether anybody's going to offer her anything or not, we're not even interested in matching. That's it. We're done. And so they are out of the cyborg business. But I just wanted to clarify that it's not really, I guess, a cut. It's just they don't want to do any more business with her.
Gave a few parting shots along the way, though.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I don't even think numbers were exchanged and then he flipped out and then had this. No, I think all this stems from everything that happened post UFC 240, her releasing a video, and then just them going back and forth, and he just wanted nothing to do with it. However, the one thing he's been consistent with, and he must have mentioned it 4, 5, 6 times with the sit down with Laura Sanko, is always circling back and making it a point that Cyborg does not want to fight Amanda Nunes. Mm-hmm. So on the way out, it wasn't like he held the door open and said, hey, maybe our paths will cross again, or good luck, how about a hug? None of that. It was basically just as soon as she took one step out, just boom, you heard the door slam. Maybe even a deuces for sure, maybe even a kick in the butt. Get out of here. We'll never want to see you again. But that's kind of how it went down. Goes, you shocked? What's your reaction?
No, I'm not shocked because we've seen this with other high-caliber athletes, right? Like Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture. He's had these problems in the past, and he's always been able to. If you look at the Conor McGregor situation, I don't know that it's so much, hey, Conor, you and I have had so much history together. We're friends. Let's fix things. It's always been pretty much money, right? Mm-hmm. Conor represents money, and in a way, I think Cyborg, if she's promoted correctly, can also represent money, especially when you put her next to Amanda Nunes. So I figured at some point they don't have to be friends. It just has to make sense money-wise. And I was a little surprised that they didn't even get to that point.
You made a point the other day, or maybe it was you or maybe it was Richard, that said, could it be that by her talking about the environment for a female in a workplace, the words bullying, as they start to get close to this era where they might be publicly traded, mm-hmm. that's where all of a sudden they could be running into problems. And so right now is the time to just break away from that. Although that's scheduled to happen in the fall at the soonest, and this deal could have been hashed out. I mean, once the deal's signed, I think Cyborg's been easy to work with at that point. You know, I don't think they have you noticed Cyborg didn't really bring up the past much, only here towards the end. It seemed like she had a pretty smooth ride the last few years, only I guess if she was pressed. I mean, I don't sit there and listen to every word that ever comes out of her mouth, but it always seemed to me like it was amicable. Now all of a sudden, as they approached this last fight, it got a little bit nasty.
It wasn't my point, but it is.
Was it Richard that said that? Somebody had said that earlier.
It wasn't me.
Who knows? All right, let's turn to Dan. Tom, Dan, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I was like goes, I'm surprised they didn't get to that point, but it's probably for the better. I mean, not only, do I think it's for the better that, she'd probably go somewhere else, and I won't go too far down that road as far as where. We'll save that for the daily debate. But, as far as, things being, I don't know if it was ever going to get there. It was kind of always a bad relationship. And I also think it's better, again, not just for maybe it's not the best fit for her, the UFC, at this point of her career, but also maybe it's better she doesn't go through all that time wasting, right, guys? The 3-month or whatever, the waiting. We've been through this how many times with the Jake Shieldses and the Eddie Alvarez's of the world? Like, we don't like seeing these great fighters on the shelf, especially when they only have so many years and so many fights left in them,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is a good thing, but yeah, man, it's not pretty.
Yeah. Well, let's listen to a little bit of the audio from the interview that Dana White conducted with Laura Sanko. We'll start off in numerical order. We'll go with number 1.
It's 2019. What is this narrative? Where is this coming from? It is an absolute smokescreen to not fight Amanda Nunes. So some of the problems that we faced with the whole cyber, what everybody's forgetting here is when she got busted for steroids, most of these women didn't want to fight her.
Yeah.
To the point where Germaine de Randamie, who was the 145-pound champion, basically came out with a statement saying, this is about principle. This woman doesn't represent what the sport is about. And, out of principle, I won't fight her for $1 million.
So there he gets going. Let's just continue. Let's just go to number 2, please.
You still had women like Germaine that out of principle refused to fight her. Mm-hmm. What's funny is in 2017, Cyborg came out and said that Germaine was scared. That's why she wouldn't fight her. She was claiming that she was scared. Now she has all these problems with me saying, well, I don't think Cyborg wants to fight Amanda Nunes. And I don't blame her for not wanting to fight Amanda Nunes when she actually said Germaine was scared. When Germaine is saying, I won't fight this woman out of principle because she's a cheater and she doesn't belong here.
All right, look, for me, the whole I'm afraid to fight someone, that's a little hard for me to stomach just because of the nature of the business that they're in.
Right.
Okay? I will agree that there may be certain matchups that a fighter may have a little bit more anxiety before a fight, but the premise of just being afraid to not go into the cage and fight a fighter at that level, especially at this point in her career, I just don't believe it. Had she been mopped up completely in that first fight where it was like a 5-round beating or something like that, maybe. But if I'm her, I'm probably thinking, man, I just got caught. I can fix that. I'm going to catch her next time. So I don't really buy that. Do you guys buy her being afraid?
No.
No, but it is weird, right? Because not only do I respect her and respect all fighters in the sense of kind of like what Goz was alluding to, this whole notion of just really not just her alluding that these pro fighters are afraid and being that's the most likely scenario here. But then with GDR, another fighter who you guys know, I've long kind of came to her defense and trumpeted her skills and positives on this show. But she had that weird, the one thing that even I have a hard time even kind of defending, because she had that weird attitude toward Cyborg too, where I get it, but then at the same time, as far as positive tests go, I don't know, I think she even kind of said something a little different later. So it's weird, and do I think GDR is afraid? No, of course not. Do I think Cyborg's afraid? No, of course not. But it is this weird triangle, and you could tell, Dana's using that as far as leverage. Hey, we had girls that we were dealing with that didn't want to fight her anyways. Where was this really going? You can kind of see him building the case. Not that he's wrong to do so. I'm just saying you kind of hear it a bit there as far as using these things, facts in his favor.
Right. And yeah. Perfect, Dan. Perfect segue, because I was reminded as I was going through, people's reactions on Twitter, and I couldn't remember exactly how it went. I don't have the best memory, but I think Dave Doyle from our staff put it best. He said, GDR did a brave and noble thing by refusing to fight Cyborg.
Right.
That's what Dana White just finished saying, right?
Okay.
But he says, also, I stripped her of the belt for not fighting Cyborg.
Yes.
And that's kind of pretty much what happened a few years ago.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he was able to use a situation in his favor 2 times. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Look, all I'll say is this. I've never expected a promoter to not never lie, if that makes sense. I get that it's hard to battle 600 fighters at one time, and man, I'm telling you, fighters are not choir boys, and sweet little angels themselves. All right, they're trying their best. They're clawing at you as well. So I get that it's a grimy, it's a dirty fight, and you got to be the way you got to be. But this really could have just been taken care of another way other than to say that, look, we're just not interested in signing Cyborg. And that's that, man. Move on, you know what I mean? To leave all this behind and to create this whole timeline, I'm pretty sure Laura went home on Tuesday. You know, I mean, maybe she stuck around for 3 days. But it reminds me of when they bought Strikeforce and Ariel Helwani was in the Zuffa offices. Oh, what do you know, to make this big announcement? Same thing, this announcement's made. I know Megan and Joseph, I believe, are in Italy. So, because usually this is something like Megan would do, but Laura's there to do it. I'm not coming at Laura or anything. She's an employee of the UFC. But still, this was just something where I think they believed, okay, this isn't going our way. The fighters got a lot of leverage. The fighters got the public sentiment, mainstream media, a lot of people behind her. We got to do something here. And the numbers aren't matching. Let's find something and get out of here. But I just wish they could find ways to just say, it didn't work out. You know what I mean? And that's that.
Take the high road.
Leave this trail and also jab on the way out, because I'm telling you, you're just going to get a bunch of people like us talking about it and, checking them. I mean, you know what I mean?
There's more hardcore fans every day.
There is more hardcore fans every day.
They do their homework.
I also don't think that this looks good. Not that, I figured Dana out pretty good. I don't think he cares too much a lot of times what other athletes think of him anyway, because they're just passing through. Some might have a 5-year career, a 1-year career, a 10-year career, and he knows there's going to be new ones anyway. But still, I just don't understand why you would want the employees that work for you, that are long-time employees, and then the fighters that you do business with to just see that. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I've never understood.
Yeah. I think that, high road, you probably could make that argument a bit for both sides, and that's not excusing one side or the other. Maybe different ways could have been played in different ways. But I will say that even though, like kind of you alluded to, it's hard to expect a promoter to do different. But at the same time, the same promoter we're talking about, even when he was doing promoter tactics or Dana White tactics or whatever you will, he has been able to go about things in that way before, and just kind of look at the example I threw out. Like, compared to Jake Shields when he was kind of courting him and thinking about the fighter who Jake Shields was, even back then and then since then, and not saying that's a bad thing. That's not a slight to Jake Shields, guys, but in this whole era of, I want killers, right? Mm-hmm. And then, I want killers. And I'll flash back to Dana when he was courting Jake Shields, like when the camera panned over to the UFC event, accidentally the camera pans over to him, and Dana White's doing the, look who's next to me, huh? Yeah, you see this?
I'll do you one better. This? He was on our show when Jake was at Strikeforce. We brought him up, and he goes, Jake Shields. I don't think anyone's knocking down the door to see Jake Shields. And then the following year, he had to promote the 50,000-plus stadium in Canada featuring GSP versus Jake Shields. I'm telling you, he would probably just save his own stress levels by not going down this route. And after so many years, you think he would have figured that one out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he hasn't. Or maybe he just loves the fucking bang every day. Maybe he loves that. I don't see the point in having to. You could be creating fights or negotiating a deal rather than doing a 30-minute sit down about somebody. You know what I mean? It just boggles my mind.
I think Vlog Dana was my favorite Dana. You know what I'm saying? That's serious, because I felt like, the way, he was still doing, quote unquote
fight day, vlog day.
Yeah, vlog day. Yeah, I think that's kind of like the Dana White that some of us hardcores kind of
go back to having fun. You know what I mean? Why this?
And I don't bring that up to disparage, but just to point to, it's not that we're just demonizing or all hate. Like, he has the capacity and capability to take these roads or do these things, like you said. But yeah, I just felt that was a funny one. You're promoting. You got behind a wrestler who, a quote unquote boring wrestler in a division where you already had guys like GSP, and Hughes was even still around back then. But then there's this killer in Cyborg where there's no one practically in this division, and you had all these years to get behind her, and you did it.
I'm telling you,
it's weird.
Let's go to some phone calls. We have Tony in San Francisco. What's up, DJ Tony? How you doing?
Tony.
Gentlemen. It's always hard to get a hold of you guys on a regular basis, especially since the time change. But I have to say this, and listen, I make no apologies for this. You Goes Dan, Tom, everyone that's associated with the show. You guys are truly the best thing in MMA in any forum, and you guys are the best. And I just had to say, listen, you guys are always the best, and we see it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Very kind of you to say that, Tony.
Kind of you to let me in, but really it's these guys, and the reason why I get to I've met callers in person like you, Tony. So thank you for calling, man.
Hey, listen, you guys are the best. Love you guys. Take care, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
That's great to hear your voice on our last show. All right, let's go to Bill in South Carolina. What's up, Bill?
Hey, guys, I got in the car, heard this is your last show, and I'm literally holding back the tears. You guys are with me every morning on the way to work, every night on the way home from work, and I don't know what I would do without you. You guys, like Tony said, you guys are some of the best. And Dan, don't shortchange yourself. Your analysis is always top-notch, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so sad right now, I'm trying not to cry.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for
too.
your support and for you taking the time to listen, whether it was the nighttime show or the replay in the mornings. We never really went out of our way to say, hey, look, catch us over here or anything like that. Even though Sirius, knew that obviously we came with a history and they allowed us to do that. We just tried to stay professional, and we wanted people to go to the SiriusXM app and catch us there live, commercial-free, HD quality. All the other shows are there. But, look, we're on MMA Junkie. We're on the website, and when you go there, you'll see all the different ways you can catch us. iTunes. For the audio audience.
Thank God, because I think you guys are the best. You and Goes just do such a great job, and I hope I can catch you somewhere, because you're going to be sadly missed on this travel.
Well, thank you. I'll say there's iTunes, and then the video component, which is important because we have a lot of in-studio guests. You can catch us there on YouTube as well. And we also have a new project on Patreon. So if you are on Twitter or Instagram, follow Goes and I at MMA Junkie George, at the Goes, and we'll be letting you people know more and more about that. We're easing into that slowly, along with Richard Hunter as well. And basically, I think what we're trying to do is, we're going to transition. We're with USA Today all the way. We're doing some new stuff with them that's very cool there. However, we're going to do less of the radio show there, and I think that's why with their blessing and through Patreon and through the support of Junkie Nation, we're going to try and fill a little bit of that void and give you some more audio time and video time over there. So please, if you're on Twitter or Instagram, follow us at MMA Junkie George, at the Goes, and you'll see all that.
There's no such thing as a part-time junkie, so we want to make sure everybody gets their fix, and we'll be continuing to do stuff on our own, stuff with the website. Trust me, there'll be a lot of us. Yeah. But thank you for your kind words. That was really awesome to hear.
Yeah, thanks for the love, Bill. I appreciate that, man.
All right. Oh, there he went. Okay, look, we can circle back to Cyborg. It's a big topic. We still have some more audio cuts to play, but let's give some respect to Nolan King. He's going to join us in just a bit, so we're going to do a commercial time right now. Classy Kelly will take us out. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156, and we'll be right back with our first guest, Nolan King.
Oh, she's laughing at you.
Yeah. I got excited.
Kelly,
I was like, yeah. Oh, wait, no.
Their fighting style is described as fluffy, but their radio style is on point. Here are George Goes and Dan.
It's fantasy football season, and Fantasy Sports Radio is helping you win. Listen to the Flex Draft tonight at 10 Eastern, featuring some of the top fantasy football analysts. Find out which players you need to have on your team and learn winning draft strategies. The Fantasy League of Experts, or Flex, tonight at 10 Eastern on Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, and on the SiriusXM app. Pound for pound, man, there can't be a better reader, live reader than me across all SiriusXMs. I realize I'm pompous there and
top
giving myself
pound per pound. I say top 5 pound per pound.
When I'm on, man. I'm speed reading, getting it done, hitting the exclamation points, and then every once in a while I butcher them. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Now it's time for some Nolan King. He is the latest addition well, not the latest. Actually, the latest was Farah Hanoun. Nolan King came right before her, and he was after Simon Head. I felt like Manchester United getting all those transfers in. You know what I mean?
Got a good one today.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. So let's welcome Nolan King to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. What's up, Nolan? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you again for joining us here today. George Goes and Dan here. Look, we're a little late in doing this. I mean, we all welcomed each other via email and all the other forms that we communicate. But on this show, we should have had you on a lot sooner. Simon told us a lot about you. The guys were very familiar with you already, tracking you on social media at MMA_Kings. But still, sorry for getting you on the MMA Junkie Radio Show so late. I think you've been with us for 2 months now.
Wait, you consider this late? I thought he was headlining.
Well, that's true. I mean,
no.
It's part of the last show.
That's true.
That's why we wanted to save him as a headliner.
That's true. He'll be a part of a trivia question. Anyway, good to have you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. No need to apologize. I mean, you guys had the whole lineup going. I think it was last week, and it was my fault I wasn't on here. You don't need to apologize to me. You kept your end of the promise here, and you guys didn't have to have me on the last show, and you squeezed me in here, so I really appreciate it. And it's an honor to be on here with you guys, celebrating quite a run that you guys have had here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Where'd you go? Did you go on vacation somewhere?
I did. I went over to Ireland the first time that I've been there. I have some distant family there who my parents have met a few times, but I never had the pleasure of meeting, so it was cool to kind of reconnect with my roots there and just to go on vacation. It's been a while since I've had some time to kick back and relax.
Dude, how jealous are us three?
Very
so you were in Ireland for how long, Nolan?
I was there for 11 days.
Oh,
11.
man.
Don't be too jealous. He was still working while he was there, man. He's still submitting to the preview show, Contender Series. He was still breaking news
was
somehow.
he really?
How did you balance that out with vacation? I hope you gave yourself some good Guinness time as well, my friend.
Oh, you know it, man. I had to take some breaks from the Guinness, so I got to be able to jump on and do some breaking news. But we traveled quite a bit, and we had a rental car that had Wi-Fi, which was great. So after I checked out the scenery of some of the hills and stuff, I made sure to hop on, make sure everything was going smoothly. So back with you guys at Junkie.
All right, raise of hands if you guys bought that line of Wolf tickets. Do you guys actually believe that young Nolan King went to Ireland and was not under the influence of a little bit of Guinness because he's typing out those Tuesday night names? Come on, even if it was one, I get it. He can't say it because, it won't look good. But between us three, raise our hands. Was he sober? Raise your hand if you think he was sober.
I don't think he was, but I got Andy Foster on line 4 here, George. Andy Foster saying that Nolan's picogram limit of Guinness.
Yes,
he's going to rule. He's going to rule an exemption for this vacation. He's going to clear.
And I'm not hating him one bit because think about it. If he's in Ireland, I think they're 8 hours ahead. Nolan.
Yeah, 5 hours ahead.
5 hours? Oh, well, yeah. But 8 hours ahead of Vegas, where Dana White Contender Series is going on.
Correct.
So that's 5 to 7. So that's literally like a 1 to 3 a.m. slot for him over there.
Wow, yeah, that math, you're right.
Yeah, we definitely aren't hating for you, but what a hustler, working while he was on vacation. What'd you do while you were out there?
So I visited some family. Like I said, my grandfather, he was born in America, but his parents were from Ireland, and then when he was about 5, his mother got homesick, so he went back to Ireland. Spent some time there, kind of grew up there, and then he used to visit there all the time, stay with relatives, and so I visited with them, and then we also went to Dublin for a few days, which was super cool. You guys caught me on the Guinness lie, so I'll just fess up to that now. Had a few there, checked out the factory, which was pretty neat. If you ever get the chance to do that, check that out. And went to Galway for a little bit, Clifton. Kind of went all around, but it was a good experience. I got to see both sides of the country and a few sides of the country, and definitely enjoyed my time away. But I'm excited to be back, and I'm raring to go for Junkie coming into August here.
Did you stumble into SBG?
I didn't know. Actually, SBG is a little further away from the downtown area of the city. It's kind of on the outskirts. So we didn't have a rental car when we were in Dublin. That's where we started off our trip. We didn't have it until we were leaving there. So I did not get the pleasure of doing that. Hopefully, the next time that I'm back, I will be able to do that because obviously that would be a pretty neat thing to check out.
Nolan King is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Give him a follow on Twitter at MMA_Kings. He hustles. Simon Simano said a lot of great stuff about him, breaking stories. So he's definitely a must follow. What do you have for Nolan King?
Nolan, so part of what we were doing here at MMA Junkie is if you look at some of the faces that have joined, it's like a fresh, young crop of people. That being said, Nolan, let's just say you were doing this way back in the day when these old folk over here started. What promotion would you bring back today so that you could cover?
Oh, I mean, I think for me it would be Pride. I feel like that brought something pretty special to the stage, something pretty unique. I know we have that with Ryzen a little bit now, where we're kind of having that, that flashback, that throwback type, the rules and things like that. But I think Pride, for me, at least learning about the sport, which has been one of my biggest hurdles that I've had to overcome, is to go back and go through the history. And I know I didn't get to live it out, so I'm still learning about it, but it seems to me that there's a certain mystique that comes with Pride, and that would be the one for me. I think if you look at some of the biggest names in the sport now, the ones that people know, even if they're over the hill or they're competing in Legends fights or Bellator or whatever, there's a certain legendary status that they were able to obtain through Pride that it's just something special, and I wish I was able to have witnessed some of those fights live, or maybe even attending the event if I had started out early enough where I was covering the sport back in the day. But that would probably be my pick, would be Pride.
Is there any particular, say, lesson that you've learned since starting here at MMA Junkie?
Oh, I mean, that's a good question. I feel like I've learned so much. I'm learning, constantly every day, just from the smaller things like, with my writing and things like that, where, I don't have a journalism background. I never formally took any writing classes. This is something I've just kind of had to learn myself. And to be able to have guys, some of the people that maybe don't get all the shine on MMA Junkie, but, the editors grind, like, Matt Erickson's helped me a lot with different writing things. And I think the other thing, too, is being part of a team. It's one thing to do stuff on your own, but to be able to have a strong team that backs you, the last couple websites I was at, I did have some strong coworkers, but, there was only a few of us, whereas now we have a team. We're all able to work together, integrate our skills, and kind of shine where we're able to step up and do the best work that we're able to do. So there's definitely effort across the board, which is awesome, and I think everybody's really invested. And for me, that's been the biggest thing, is being able to integrate into a team setting. And I feel like things have gone pretty well so far in that regard.
I want to send them some of Matt Erickson's style tips that I've accumulated over the years.
Those are cool.
I like those a lot. And if you really are soaking all those in, Nolan, I'm going to send them to you. Dan, if I've never offered those to you, I've got a lot prior to you've been with us for 2 years now. Yeah. I can send you those as well, because he explains them well, and he answers a lot of questions like who versus whom and things like that. You know what I mean? But anyway, all right, Dan Tom, the fight analyst. What do you have for Nolan King?
I'll take those. My trick was I would always take his or Dan Stuff's, because Dan Stuff would give me some stuff to work on as well, and I would commit it to and handwrite it like a Kevin Spacey from Seven. I can't reference Kevin Spacey as much anymore, but you know what I mean. And it helped kind of commit it to memory. But hey, Nolan, this is awesome, man. I get to actually not just kind of do my job here, but like ask you a couple questions that I've been wanting to ask you, man. Sure. For people that don't know, you can follow Nolan at MMA_Kings on Twitter. And Nolan, you can correct me here in a second, but I would dare say it almost feels like we do a different beat, but I would dare say me and you kind of came at it in similar ways, not just being maybe younger guys or however you want to say it, but like you kind of were operating and breaking news, and not a lot of people knew you as Nolan King. They knew you as the MMA King's handle, and eventually, obviously, you started accumulating work and getting work because of it, and deservedly so. Now we obviously know you at Nolan King, and we welcome you and grateful to have you here at MMA Junkie. But that transition, man, was that one of those things? Because for me, I used to be under at the MMA Analyst, and I changed my Twitter handle and everything as well. But before, I was kind of operating under, I had a different avatar up, a handle that didn't maybe reveal my name, and I was just kind of doing this for fun. I didn't realize that my beat as far as breaking down fights would end up getting me a job. Was that kind of how it happened with you, or can you just explain your journey there and transition?
Sure, yeah, totally, man. You hit a lot of the points on the head there. For me, I didn't get into this for any other reason than I was just going to mess around on Twitter one day, created an account. I didn't want to put my name to it. Just, I don't know. I was pretty private then. I had my own Twitter account for my personal life. I just wanted to do something fun outside the box. So made this Twitter account one day. Used the name MMA Kings. And from there, it gained some popularity after maybe a year or so of doing it. I started to get some news here and there, some tips, and started to be able to break my own news. And from there, people started to ask me if I wanted to write for their websites, more hobby sites than maybe necessarily like paid gigs. But, eventually somebody was able to twist my arm and say, hey, you can come here. There's no, there's you can kind of do whatever you want, do it at your own pace. So that kind of intrigued me, whereas if I had gone with a bigger gig where I was required to do a certain amount a week or a month or a day, I wouldn't necessarily done it. I had my own career that I was going, I was in school. I was working towards a biomedical science degree, which I still was able to graduate
Check out
with.
the big brain on Nolan. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go that far, but ended up going down this path, which I love so much more. Eventually made the switch over to get rid of the logo and the fake name, and went with my real name and my real face. And I apologize to everybody that has to look at my picture next to my handle now. I know it's not the prettiest, but it was definitely an interesting transition, and it was something that it was one of the best decisions I ever made, with to wake up one day and create that Twitter account. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
That's awesome, man. And, not to make it sound like a Bourne Identity movie, without naming your sources, like, that was a big thing for you. So, like, just maybe in generally speaking for, younger people wanting to get in. Obviously,
Sure.
you're a well-schooled cat, and there's, of course, the academic side that people can look up. But MMA is kind of a more guerrilla tactics. What was that like, establishing a source or two, and how that kind of grows and you start kind of getting deeper and deeper? Was that difficult? Was that easier than you expected?
It kind of came to me, and I felt like the biggest piece of advice I could give to anybody was, I think when people think of scoops or they think of tips or whatever, breaking news, they always think of, kind of like a door-to-door salesman that's nagging fighters and being obnoxious and, hoping to kind of get, press them for information and things like that. And I never did anything like that. I never was somebody that would just go around and try to dig up information. Most of the things that the sources I ended up getting with, the best relationships that I got, the biggest news that I was able to break was because, usually I had a good relationship with these guys where they trusted me, and it wasn't that, they felt hounded by me or anything. They didn't feel obliged to give me anything. I never made them feel like that. It just was, you kind of have to have that relationship where, everybody's on good terms, and it's not, I feel like sometimes I see people that are trying to start out and break news, and they're more concerned with breaking the news than they are with building a relationship or making, a relationship that improves the sport or whatever you want to say like that. But for me, yeah, it was never something that I necessarily aggressively went towards. It was just something that I think was built because I was around the sport. I was working, doing my writing stuff, had a good Twitter account, and people just took notice, and I think they respected that. And there's a lot of respectful people in the sport, and I think, that's just kind of the way that I started off with it.
Wow. Anybody that's listening, especially the younger people that want to get into the sport, you have zero connections, maybe you have an English degree or journalism degree, or you just love the sport or always wanted to report. Listen to what he just said. That was very, very interesting. Yeah. Building the relationships, not worrying about the scoops or being the next big thing. Because I've often told people, man, I don't know if you want to do this. I really don't know if you want to do this.
It's a scary
but if somebody's motivated by it and says, nope, I'm focused. Geez, listen to Nolan's story. That's pretty great the way
100%.
You categorize that, my friend. All right, now I'm curious because Goz had a really, really good question with pride, but it was a little bit of low-hanging fruit. I was expecting him to say that, and I know that was my answer. What would have been the number 2 organization, Nolan and Goes and Dan, if you had a chance to do it over again, to cover it again, going back 10, 15 years?
Boy,
Tough.
I would have shared my answer for number 1 with Nolan. I would have been right there with him, right? Because I was catching up on the tail end. My friends were getting me sold with these Crow Cop highlights. I'll go with something super low key. That there was a night, and I believe it was in Ukraine. And this guy named Igor Vovchanchin just iced like 3 giants in a row, and this was like in 1996, mind you. So this is like even like prior Dark Ages, or maybe just the start of the Dark Ages, right? So like if you were like a reporter, you went over to the Eastern Europe from USA, even just in the 90s, right? Internet's not that big, right? You don't even know if Yahoo exists at this point, and you go over and you see in his prime ice cold Igor Vovchanchin just ice a bunch of dudes tournament style, like the essence of MMA. I think Paul Varlins was in that too. And
oh really?
I think it was there were some names in there. Okay. Like they actually got some names, and yeah, there's a fun little YouTube highlight for people can go look it up, like Igor taking out these dudes in one night. I just think it'd be a cool thing to come back and write about. People probably wouldn't believe you.
How about you guys?
Strike Force, because you can get early Ronda, a little bit of Cyborg in there. Guys like Gil Melendez,
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
How about you, Nolan?
Just not to copy anybody else what they already said. IFL, something that sticks out to me. I know they didn't have many events, but that would be cool for me.
Yeah?
I'm such a new guy that I didn't even get to cover WEC, so that would have been something.
That's WEC, exactly what I was going to say.
Perfect one.
I was going to tell you guys
shows too. Intimate shows.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys. I walked into a buddy's house in San Diego, and he goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" Yeah. And he goes, "Hey, check this out!" And I couldn't believe how clear his big screen was, and they were getting ready to do MMA fights. And it was the Hitman's voice, Ryan Bennett, calling the fights, you know what I mean? And I remember, the only reason I remember is because I was just getting into, this was like 2002, I think. Yeah. I was just getting into MMA Weekly's Sound Off show, but he always talked about this kid from Ensenada that always got his nose fucked up, Olaf Alonso, and he had these wars, and I can't remember who it was with, but do you remember Jeremy the Scorpion Jackson?
Yeah.
I think he had battles with Nate Diaz. Didn't they have like a trilogy?
That's why I've seen that name before.
I'm telling you, man.
I've seen the name on some resumes.
Early WEC, even
he
before
knocked out Nick Diaz.
Even before they came over here to the Hard Rock or whatever, they had the fights in Lemoore and up in Northern California. There was some good stuff in there, and I think if I could reset it after Pride, obviously, I think WEC would have been my next one, because they had a pretty long history, and they just had a lot of old school veteran names. Anyway, all right. Well, Nolan, listen, we're in Vegas, so if you ever head west, hang with us over here. The show is ending with SiriusXM, but MMA Junkie Radio is still gonna live on, and we're gonna we'll be telling people more and more about it in the coming days, in the coming weeks. But anytime anybody wants to sit in with us in studio, we can make that happen. So please take us up on that. All right, bud?
Yeah, 1,000%. I will 100,000% take you guys up on that.
And keep kicking ass. And by the way, who do you like, Covington or Lawler? I mean, I guess I can look at the staff picks, but just tell us real fast for the audience that's listening.
I'm going with Covington. It's a close fight, stylistically. I know Robbie's maybe not has much success recently, but I feel like Covington overall, he's been out for a little while, but I just think he's going to take it. I think he's on the up and up, and I think Robbie's either, I don't want to say he's declining, but he's kind of waning out here, and he could catch him early, but I just think Covington's in this for the long haul, and I need to see that fight with Usman. Maybe it's a need more than a want more than what's actually going to happen, but I'm going with Covington here.
That's what's up. All right. Thanks, Nolan, for the time. Have a nice weekend, all right, bud?
Easy, man.
Hey, you too, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
See ya. All right, follow him on Twitter at MMA_Kings. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to do our daily debate. And don't forget, in the second hour, we have Scott Kent from Lion Fight Muay Thai and Yves Edwards from PFL. So don't touch that dial. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156.
Damn!
We can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's hashtag daily debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio. With the UFC apparently out, which organization is the best fit for Chris Cyborg going forward? Here are your choices: Bellator, Invicta, PFL, or other. If you choose other, please fill in the blanks. Goes.
I thought about this, and there's one thing that's going to make me say Bellator, and it's not really Bellator. It's the fact that she has the opportunity to go to Ryzen if she wants, where I think she can be very
because they're
popular.
co-promoting. All right.
So really, it's like a 2-for-1. The division's deeper at Bellator, but me personally, if I were her manager and the PFL could set it up, I'd say make that quick million and then go do that.
Well, they have that clause, I think. I don't know if you can just leave, but I see what you're saying. I guess maybe everything's negotiable.
But I'm going Bellator.
All right. How about you, Dan?
Interesting arguments there. I mean, first of all, these guys shot me down. I was going to say BKFC against the Bagel Boss, but that got shot down real fast. So, I will say this.
Josh should be into that one.
Front
row.
He's training with Aya Quinta now.
I literally
You
just
gotta be
pumped my
careful.
fist.
Jolt and Josh got my support, or has got my back there. But listen, I can see Bellator being an option here, and people talking about Bellator, right? It's a fun thing in these daily debates because you got the Risen and the cross promotion connections, guys. But let's be honest, the only person in Risen is Gabby Garcia, and they're best of buddies. I've seen pictures of them hitting the club together. They mean business. They're not going to be fighting each other. So I don't know if that's going to happen. And I don't know how much, marketable fights there is. There's a legitimate fight against Julia Budd, but I don't know how much money that's going to make her. I think her most money will be with that, whatever that signing bonus is. I'm actually with what Goes was kind of saying, even though it wasn't his option. I'm going to go with PFL. I think you get Kayla Harrison before, God forbid she acquires any more skills and becomes any more of a monster. You try to get her early. I think, there's better chance of her beating Kayla than Amanda. I think people that even would pick Kayla over Cyborg at this point will agree to that. So you go there. Hopefully you get past Kayla and whatever else test they put at 155 or whatever. You don't have to cut as much weight. And you can walk away with a nice payday and then still have all those other options if you want.
All right. I'm going to go with other. I'm going to go with Lion Fight so we can watch part 2, Jarena Bars versus Cyborg. Wasn't that one of the best fights we ever saw?
I didn't see that one. Wow. Nice one.
Listen.
I wish I would have thought of that.
That's a nod to Scott Ken, who's going to be sitting down with us once. I always tell people
I do
about
wanna
Chris
see that
Cyborg
again.
versus
No,
Jarena
that's a
Bars.
good point.
That was a sick fight, man. Here in Las Vegas, we got to see it. But, yeah, I know this is an MMA-geared question. And I think I'm all about PFL at this point. She stays on, the ESPN platform. And then it's 10 pounds less for her to lose because they got the lightweight division, 155 pounds. The $1 million payday, rising star in Kayla Harrison. No disrespect to Julia Budd, she's a stud as well. But I think that might be the route for her again, just because I don't know. I just like that little quick regular season and big payout. You know what I mean? The Kayla Harrison fight I think could be built up. So I would side with them.
So you're telling me you're not with Goes, you don't want to be watching a Bellator show and they pan to the audience and Scott Coker's there like how Dana White was with Jake Shields, except he's got Cyborg with him. Says, guess who's back, baby? Guess who's back?
That's a great answer, too, because of the Risen. The Risen connection and Gabby Garcia or whatever. But, well, here's how Junkie Nation voted. Bellator, 76%. PFL, 11%. Invicta, 4%. Other got 9%. Over 1,100 votes came in. So thank you to Junkie Nation, the readers of the site, and the listeners of the show for participating. Let's hit the phone line real quick. We got Marco from Waco. What's up, Marco? How you doing?
Marco from Waco, bro. ¿Qué pasa?
Hey, Marco.
How you doing, man?
Meet you, man. I'm listening to you guys, and at top of the background in Chanel. I feel like Eddie Bravo.
That's awesome.
All right. So my vote would be Bellator, just because not only she got a relationship with Scott Coker, but don't they do like a Bellator kickboxing once in a while, and they will allow her to go and get that boxing match with Clarissa Shields? She got more freedom of movement if she goes to Bellator, man. In PFL, she just stuck with PFL and stuff, and she can make out those paydays with whatever fight she can take. But on the interview of Dana White today, dude, it's like we saw it coming once he's freaking what's her name? Started calling him liar and stuff, and when freaking Dana look horse, then it gets ugly. Dude, I love it. The only thing that worries me that they freaking they're gonna start making the argument now that she ran away from Amanda, and they're not in no obligation to promote her brand anymore. So they're gonna try to bury her reputation from now on. That Amanda, finished freaking Cyborg, she ran away, and that's why she's no longer on the UFC. It's not gonna be fair, but that is freaking argument they're gonna make, dude. She's out.
All right. Thank you, Marco, for the call. Well, it's funny how he also inserted himself into the daily debate. We'll have to add that on. But, again, I just don't agree with the way that was handled. And I don't understand it because I guess really that video was for the mainstream audience, the ones that just that don't know any better.
Yeah.
But I don't think they care so much about the history and the timeline, so why even do that? You know what I mean? The hardcore audience is just chewing it up, having a good laugh, and I just think it was really a waste of time. Regardless. All right. We are going to come back in 60 seconds. We're going to get the guys situated. Scott Kent from Lion Fight is going to join us, and he's brought some of his friends, including Nathan Corbett. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156.
And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back, and I want to welcome to the dais Scott Kent. He is from Lion Fight. We're going to be talking about Lion Fight in just a second. CEO, promoter, and Nathan Corbett, 11-time Muay Thai champion. Guys, if you'll just allow us, we have a couple quick calls. It's our last show on SiriusXM. The show lives on. Thank you for the kind words during the commercial. But a couple of these callers are just doing quick farewells. But we're going to talk some Muay Thai here for the next 20 minutes. All right, who do we have, Kelly?
We have Nick on the line.
Nick, how you doing, Nick?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you, buddy.
Hey, I just want you guys to know I'm a black belt supporter. I've supported you guys from the beginning, and I'll support you guys to the end.
Thank you, sir.
I can't tell all these listeners what you guys have done for the community, and they just get off your wallets. Everybody, most people can afford $5, $10, $20 a month. Help you guys out. I want you guys to do nothing but succeed.
Thank you, Nick. And yes, first of all, thanks for the kind words. Your support these past 12 and a half years has been amazing. Nick has caught every single show that we've ever done. And today we're going to upload 2,975. So that's a lot of shows, and that's quite a commitment. So thank you, Nick, from the bottom of our heart. Thanks for that quick plug as well. And, yes, I'll be telling people a little bit about our Patreon page towards the end of the show. So thank you so much, bud. Much love.
You said when you got inducted into the MMA Weekly Hall of Fame, that was an honor, and it was an honor for me to be inducted into the MMA Junkie Hall of Fame. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the other side.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. All right. We'll get back to the phone calls in just a second. All right, so welcome again, Scott and Nathan. We're ready to talk some Lion Fight. And did you have a little nostalgia when I brought up Cyborg versus Jarina Bars?
I did. I heard that, and you guys have been such a big supporter of us from the get-go. You know, we're back at the Hard Rock this week.
Yeah,
we started
tomorrow,
out at Prim.
Right?
Yeah, tomorrow night. And, we haven't been back in the Hard Rock in quite a while. We've been on the road a lot, but it's so nice to be back. And thank you so much. First of all, thanks for all your success. You guys are rock stars now, so thanks for having us back and bringing Lion Fight back. We appreciate it.
Thank you. That fight was the one that was downtown?
No, Cyborg and Jarena Bars was
That
at
was
the
at
Hard Rock.
That was Kevin Ross, right?
Yeah.
That was a bloody fight
Cyborg
too, man.
did fight downtown. She just didn't fight Jarena Bars.
Yeah. I just remember that was an awesome fight.
Yeah,
They went at it.
We were talking a little bit about it before you had gotten here, and I was telling him, like, now that I think about it, when I put it all in perspective, some of the best live events I've ever been to in my life were Lion Fight fights.
Thank you. That means a lot, guys. When we started doing fights at the Hard Rock, everybody said, "Well, you're the best kept secret in Las Vegas," which I thought was pretty cool. But then I started thinking about it. We got to get this brand out there, and that's really what we focused on in the last few years.
Yeah, we have a lot of great memories. Judson Klein, Fairtex,
Kevin
Ross. Yeah, a lot of the young guns here in Las Vegas. Remember there was a young
Cosmo?
kid named Jason? Yeah, Cosmo Alexander.
Cosmo.
Good stuff now, and I see there's a new crop, and you brought one of the legends of the sport. Welcome, Nathan, to MMA Junkie Radio. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, great. Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Is it Australia where they don't say mate, or they do say mate? They do.
They say mate. Yeah,
okay,
down
it was
there.
one of those where they go, we don't say mate. I was like,
New Zealand, I think, is the one that says.
Say mate? Okay, yeah.
Mate, Australia is mate all the way.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what's bringing you to town? Are you an ambassador? Are you on retiring? Because I thought I went through this card and.
Yeah, no, I'm not fighting anymore, so I've moved to America, and now I'm working directly with Scott in Lion Fight as a collar commentator.
Oh,
commentating all the fights live on CBS Sports,
Okay.
and of course interviewing some of the fights for the YouTube channel as well.
Very cool. Yeah, it's very convenient if you go to lionfight.com. The whole card is scrolling across here with me. But all right, so you're retired. You're done for good. Nothing can lure you back.
Well, I just actually went back to Australia 5 weeks ago and had both hips replaced. And when I was walking out of the hospital with my mum, the surgeon was there. I said, "Hey, Mum, this is the surgeon." And he's like, "Yeah, we've got to get your son back in the ring again." And she's like, "Oh," so.
Is that from just head kicks, chopping legs,
and
things
just
like that?
chewed out the joint. Yeah, 10 years ago, did a quick little shaving.
Both
and then
hips?
Both hips, yeah. So
Wait. You had like bone spurs shaved, or you had hip
I had them
replacement?
shaved 10 years ago, and then went back and forth for 5 years, and then the last 5 years haven't been fighting, but just coaching, and then just wear and tear, I guess, was getting to the point where we needed to resurfacing, they call it. So we did that, but long story short, not supposed to fight again, but we'll see how I feel in 6-7 months' time, and might be refreshed.
All right. Scott, who's the whole announcing team? Tell me about the whole announcing team. What do you got?
We've got Matt Martucci from CBS Sports Network. Nathan's been doing all of the commentary. And, we were looking for people to bring in, people with credibility, people that understand the sport. And our friend Michael Schiavallo, who did our fights for years with Access TV. Yeah. I called Michael, and I suggested Nathan. He goes, first of all, there's nobody that knows more about Muay Thai than Nathan does. He's articulate. He's been such a huge find for us, and he's a big part of the Lion Fight team now.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. And I'm seeing that 58 and 59 are also lining up as well, and we can get to that in just a second. Foxwoods for Lion Fight 58, Gothenburg for Lion Fight 59. So you guys are just keeping it going just like back in the day when we were talking a lot more. You were on Access TV, now you're on CBS Sports. So this is great. We're really, really happy for you as well.
Yeah, it's been 10 years, that we started this out at Prim, and we've done shows in London, Ireland. We did a show in Milan this year. We're in Gothenburg, Sweden in 4 weeks? And, the brand is out there. It's all about building the brand. You're in Las Vegas. You're kind of in the vortex of the MMA media, power storm with the UFC. So we have to kind of distinguish our fan base and how we can kind of tap into that. And
so fight capital of the world, no matter what there's all kinds of boxing going on. Last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, right, was Pacquiao and Thurman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Madhouse then,
I just ran into Roy Jones Jr. at the Hard Rock. He's at Thomas and Mack tonight. He's coming to the show tomorrow night.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
And when we go to these places, people know Lion Fight. And, every day we're getting fighters from all over the world.
Even the MMA fighters used to tell us they love Lion Fights. Pat Miletich used to tell us, I love calling Muay Thai more than MMA. So this isn't just like one man's opinion or anything like that. There's been a lot of love from combat sports towards you guys.
Yeah, Joe Rogan was really outspoken, compared to with, he said Lion Fight's his favorite, and you can't get much higher praise than that. So we feel we're in a great position. We've got Nathan on. We've got all of the best American Muay Thai fighters signed. We've got a great international roster, and it's really coming together nicely.
All right, go.
Scott, I had thought about something. So you guys have been traveling a lot, and now you're back here in Vegas. And the Hard Rock, The Joint is such a cool venue. It's one of my favorite ones, especially for what you guys do. But they're kind of undergoing like new management, right? I think it's changing to Virgin. Are they going to still have that same feel like for having combat sports and all that? Is any of that going to change?
I hope so. You know, I think they're closing in February for 7-8 months, and they're going through a major renovation and reconstruction. But I think they're keeping The Joint. And
where are the Porn Star Awards going to move to? Because I think they host them annually.
I think they're staying open so they can do the Porn Star Awards before. You got to have your priorities.
Yeah, of course. You're good. They can mail Best Fluffer. Don't worry.
Wow! Wow! All right.
Well, he left himself open. I had to do it.
Himself open.
Jesus, that category though.
Talk about
holy cow!
Go down the line.
Talk about everybody talks about the main event, the co-main event, but is there one fight that's being overlooked that you can think of, the kind of the under the radar matchup?
Yeah, I think it's Ricardo Mixco and Victor Saravia. Nathan's seen both these guys fight. They're in the prime of their career, kind of an East Coast, West Coast thing. These guys, I think, are going to put that. It should be on paper. It should be an amazing show. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Both knockout fighters, with Mixco on a 3-0, 3 KO sort of winning streak, and so keen and eager to become the champion. It's his first shot at the North American line fight title as well. As an amateur, as a world champion, so he's now stepping up as a pro. Great matchup.
We're talking Lion Fight 57 with Scott Kent. And he is the promoter of Lion Fight. Been there for all 57 shows. And the doors open tomorrow at 5 p.m. Tickets start at $55 here at The Joint. I know there's a big California audience that listens to our show, and if you're doing that last-minute trip, by the way, Mom's coming tomorrow. But if you're doing that last-minute trip, it's perfect because you can catch some fights early on. And the city doesn't get going until like 10 or 11, right, Scott? You can still get that late dinner, still get the table at the clubs, and have a good time. And the highlight of your night will still be these fights.
Great room rates. We've got a ton of people that have already come in from California. I think we've sold more tickets out of Southern California than we have out of Las Vegas. So we've got a huge fan base. Some great fighters coming out of Southern California.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nathan Corbett, 11-time Muay Thai world champion. I want to ask you a few questions. What do you think of our sport of mixed martial arts? Are you a fan, or?
Yeah, definitely a fan of the mixed martial arts. I mean, when I was fighting Thai boxing 10 years ago, MMA kind of just started. Hector Lombard was training in my gym on the Gold Coast, sparring with him all the time. We'd go to war every night.
Because
everyone knows he was an animal when it comes to training.
He doesn't take it easy,
So
you guys buddies or rivals?
No, we're like just buddies, just training in the same gym and just, sparring each other. And I used to like going hard, and he didn't mind, scrapping it on.
Oh, yeah, he's got one of those reputations in MMA.
Yeah, and at that time, we had like a lot of MMA guys training with us, asking me to, why don't you cross over? But in 2005, I won 3 world titles in 3 different organisations at cruiserweight. And I kind of just started to make a name for myself, a little bit of money, not much, but enough to, to keep going down that path. So I never took the MMA route. I fought a couple of shoot boxing fights, but had a mixed respect for it. But finished my career in Thai boxing. And of course, living in America, it's a very dominant, MMA country. Mm-hmm. But of course, I'm super excited to be involved with Lion Fight, which is really where my heart and my passion lies in Muay Thai. So, but I love to see the elbows being used in MMA.
I was just about to say that the knees.
The knees, that's so important.
Noses are getting rearranged.
I've worked with a couple of MMA people, and they've got so many things to learn with the whole ground, the wrestling, and the defense, that sometimes they don't quite master the clinch work from the knees, and the elbow opportunity where the elbows are. So trying to show them a few little tricks as well. But I'm a fan of the sport for sure. But of course, Lion Fight and Muay Thai is my ultimate passion. So I'm really honoured to be here with Scott and the team.
You live in SoCal now?
Yes, in Newport Beach, Huntington Beach area.
What are the gyms that you have worked with some of the MMA
I work at out of Ruka, at the Ruka facility there, and I actually was training Aaron Pico for a short period.
You've probably seen RDA and Bisping.
Yeah, RDA's there all the time. Actually, Bisping wasn't there. He'd already finished when I moved to the States. RDA's there all the time. He's working with Perillo, of course, and also with Bryce. Well. Chris Cyborg's there. I did train with Chris for about a 6-week period. At some point last year, and and then of course Aaron Pico, worked with him for a few months, but then he just moved out to Albuquerque. So at the moment, not working with anyone in particular, but yeah.
Watch this, guys. Speaking of Chris Cyborg, she was recently cutting ties with the UFC. Are you scrolling through that iPhone to maybe give her a call, or
I love Chris
are you in
Cyborg.
appreciation of the time you had? And
I think she did this in between promotions. I think she was trying to stay busy.
She loved it.
She loved it.
She told us that.
She absolutely loved it.
And I think, your old partner, Access TV, I'm pretty sure she was one of their featured highest-rated stars. When Andrew Simon would come in and talk about it, she scored well for you guys there, and that's why I asked. You're catching her in between, maybe.
Yeah.
Like if she were to go to PFL, she can't do nothing this season. She can't do nothing until next May. If she were to go to Bellator, I get it. She could get started, but maybe this is an in-between phase.
She's always welcome to come back. She keeps in contact with me. She's just a sweetheart, and I have nothing but respect for her. She's a beast, and I think she's been great for this sport. It's unfortunate maybe some things haven't worked out for her, but we would love to have her back.
Versus Jorina, or you got another killer lined up for her?
We got a lot of killers. Europe, we did a show in Milan. We got people standing in line that just want to fight in the U.S. And like you said, you're in the fight capital of the world. We got people from Thailand, everywhere, that just want to fight here.
Milan, how was Milan?
It was great. It was, we did a big show with Octagon, the biggest MMA promotion in Europe. And,
they've
the
done
cloth
MMA
tables,
too, I think.
yeah, cloth tables and the champagne.
And is Gothenburg the 59? Is that in Sweden or something?
It's in Gothenburg, Sweden. It's Scandinavia. I've got a Thai champion fighting the best fighter in Scandinavia. And the venue I've heard is almost already sold out. It's going to be a huge, huge thing. And again, it goes back to the brand. They want to be affiliated with the brand. Lion Fight is the biggest brand out there in Muay Thai.
All right. Nathan, I did want to ask you something that we've always asked our in-studio guests. Can you share a good street fight story with us?
A street fight story, actually. No, I don't really have any street
Nathan,
fight stories.
Stop lying to us. It's the first time we're going to get off like this. You know you got a couple. I know the Aussies don't back down. Man.
No, I never really had any street fights. I always kept myself out of trouble. But, I think one time when I was young in a club, I had to defend one of my girlfriends. Not my physical girlfriend, but a good close friend of mine. And
so set it up. You guys are at the club. Are you inside already?
We're in the club, actually. We're in the club, and then funny story.
Dance floor or just chilling?
I was waiting for him to see what he was going to do, and he walked into the toilet. And
by then he had already pissed you off.
No, I already knew because he already done something wrong by my friend. So then I was just keep an eye on him, and then he walked into the bathroom, so I followed him in there. And when I went in there, I sort of visualized doing something, and I was like, this is a bit too much, like coming into the bathroom and do it in here. I don't know if I can do that. So I let him go. I walked back out. And then when he was walking out.
You weren't on his radar at all? He didn't
know? I didn't even know. He didn't even know I was there. So I just felt like it was a bit too much of a setup. So I was like, I don't think I can do this. And then he walked out, and then it just got the better of me. So then I just clocked him. But I was only young. I was only I think I was only 19. I just left school, and I was, trying to defend my friend. And he'd done the wrong thing by and all that stuff, but that was about it.
Now, be honest, did you just catch him when he wasn't looking, or did you square up to him and discuss the problem and then let him have it?
Oh, well, actually, I sort of got his friend first, and then he
2 for 1?
Yeah, and then he turned around, then I got him, and then the bouncers came, so then I ran out the side door, and then I was walking like I was casually leaving the club, and then they grabbed me and was like, I'm all right, no, I'm all good. So, it was just like a 19-year-old thing.
They didn't kick your ass or nothing?
No, they let me go.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great story. Why would you want to hold that one back?
Yeah, because I'm not a street fighter. I don't do that stuff. But it was more like a protection thing.
And if anything, he was protecting his friend, who was a lady.
It was a lady. I grew up with 2 sisters and a mum. I didn't have a dad around much, and I sort of had that protective streak.
I hear you, man.
And he just sort of grabbed her and tried to
Were they completely out?
Oh, they were.
Or stumbling around?
They weren't doing too good.
I like that it was a 2-for-1.
I didn't hang around too much.
I like the 2-for-1 that he added that in there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get out of the whole bouncer's grip?
They knew who I was, so they kind of just sort of saw me and then were like, let me go.
They just dusted you off. Sorry, we want no problem, champ. You go on about your business.
I wasn't even anyone then. I was just starting my career, and they just let me go. But they banned me from the club for a few months. But that was all good.
And the Gold Coast, that's northeast. Do I have my geography right?
Yeah, it's on the east on the east coast. That's right, and it's.
I'm thinking of Queensland. Queensland's a little bit north.
No, it's in Queensland because the Gold Coast is in Queensland. It's like 1 hour drive from Brisbane. So
Right.
Brisbane being like the
I
main
have a
sort of
fear of
airport.
that part of Australia. I want to visit Australia, but something about that area. I was
Sharks,
on
snakes.
Discovery or something like that, or maybe it was a television show, and it said 8 of the top 10, I guess,
Deadliest.
deadliest, most poisonous animals or whatever, venom, all these words that they were just throwing at me. I had the remote in my hand. I couldn't change it fast enough, but they live in your neck of the woods. There's the blue ring octopus, of course, sharks and spiders and snakes, and then there's another one, the box jellyfish. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
I guess he stings you, and if you don't pee on yourself or there's vinegar handy, you could die. You could shut down in less than 30 minutes.
I think you're toast.
Do you even go in the water when you go home?
Well, that is up like further Queensland. You don't go in the water up there. Like where I am, it's fine.
Right.
But yeah, you have to wear like a stinger suit if you want to go in the water and stuff. Because there is some like competitions they run up there with surf lifesaving and that. And they have to wear the stinger costume, mainly for the like the blue stingers and stuff.
But you'll find like tarantulas, like big spiders in the house, right? Like that's kind of common.
Yeah. But not where I live near the ocean, so like it's kind of safer. But if you go like maybe 20 minutes inland from there, which isn't far, you'll start getting your big snakes and your spiders and
nope.
Yeah.
You've never had any problems?
Get goannas and all that kind of business.
Him and I are jittery because there's a shark reef there, and that's like on the other side of the hotel.
And there's a kimono dragon.
Yeah, we tell him
Scott
stay
take
as
you
far
one
as you
day
can.
to the shark reef.
Yeah.
There's a kimono dragon there too.
No, I'll be right.
You know much about the kimono dragon? What is he? If he spits on you, it's venomous.
No. When he bites you, it's not the bite; it's the saliva that gets you.
Right.
So they actually like stalk their prey and just watch them die for like days after, and then
yeah.
Crazy stuff, man. Yeah. But I do
But
want to.
But Australia's going well. Like obviously they're doing massive events there with the UFC and stuff. So we're also looking at maybe possibly putting a lion fight show on there with my connections in the new year. We're doing a lot of international shows. Like we said, we went to Ireland, we went to Milan, we're going to Sweden. In the past, they've gone to England as well, so why not bring it back to Australia?
You can confirm that?
And,
absolutely.
2020?
Yeah, 2020, we're looking at that. And we're doing a lot of Road to Lion fight. I just did Cordoba, Argentina. We did a big show down there where it's an 8-man tournament. The winner of the tournament will be able to come to the U.S. and fight for lion fight. So we're going to do these in Canada. We're going to do them even in some of the other parts of the United States that we haven't been to.
How about Peru? That's where our mom's from.
You know what? I just talked
Gaston's
to Renzo.
from there.
Renzo.
Oh, Gaston Bolanos. Remember
Gaston's
him?
from him.
He's from Peru, yeah.
And I just talked to a guy who's from Peru, and they said they have a promoter out there that would like to do Road to Lion fight.
And I know they have Muay Thai there because Valentina Shevchenko, she fought there. She fought MMA and Muay Thai. So she's from Kyrgyzstan, but she lived in Peru for 5-10 years or something like that, and she became a citizen, speaks Spanish and all that.
That's true.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, Muay Thai is such a global sport, and what Scott, of course, Lion Fight is really what we really want to achieve is to bring that to the forefront of the media. Obviously, having CBS Sports is such a great opportunity and a great platform to do that. Everyone loves stand-up striking. If you look at MMA now, they're all standing up and striking. I think even at times Dana White said to him, stand up and strike, and everyone loves the stand-up, and Muay Thai is the best part of what stand-up fighting is. So we're passionate about lion fight and bringing it to not only to the world but obviously to America, and then make the Americans really love and have it here as a number one top fight sport.
It all goes down tomorrow night, folks, at the Joint here in Las Vegas. It's at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Doors open at 5 o'clock. And you can get tickets starting at $55. You can go to the hardrockhotel.com website or initiate at lionfight.com. And if you get to lionfight.com, you can check out what they got going on in the future, which, for example, Lion Fight 58 in Foxwoods, followed by Lion Fight 59 in Gothenburg, Sweden. So the promotion is very busy. And Scott, I want to thank you and Nathan for stopping by MMA Junkie Radio. I hope you guys have a great show tomorrow. I know I'll be there, so thank you.
We can't wait, you guys. Thanks again. From day one, you guys were big supporters of us. We've grown a lot. You guys are in the stratosphere, so congratulations on your success.
That was Mandalay Bay.
Does he do that a lot?
Yeah, the fluffer thing. I got the worst of that one, though.
I'll tell you what.
All right, folks, it's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
Put excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're back. Big thanks to Scott Zerr from Lion Fight for lining that up. Got to talk to Scott Kent, who is the CEO and president of Lion Fight. Remember, tomorrow night, Lion Fight is in town here in Las Vegas. Check it out. Nathan Corbett, 11-time Muay Thai world champion, and now their color commentator, was a surprise guest, so it was great to have him. And that was a great street fight story, Goose, right?
That was pretty cool. 2 for 1.
Who was it that told us recently something about having to do with the restroom? Something went down in the restroom. Someone got lit up. They walked out. Do you guys remember?
Hold on.
It was about 3-4 weeks ago.
Tiffany. Yeah. Oh, okay. I was gonna say Tiffany Van Soos had a good one.
Oh, she had a good one too. Yeah. Well, all right. If you guys remember, let me know. Now it's time to talk to a good friend of the show, Yves Edwards. Yves has a long history in combat sports as a fighter, one of the top lightweights ever to grace the octagon. He was part of the first era of Zuffa with the lightweight division. Then the lightweight division went away, and then of course he came back. I think he even dabbled at 145, and now he licks his chops as a commentator, for PFL. PFL 2019, Week 6 is upon us. It's next Thursday, and this is the final regular season fight card before they head into the playoffs, which, by the way, will be here at Mandalay Bay. So let's talk to our good friend of the show, Yves Edwards. What's up, Yves? Good to have you back.
What's up, George? I was really excited to hear about this bathroom shenanigans y'all started going into, and then the tone got switched, and so I don't get to hear about that. I want to know about that.
Well, you know how we always ask the in-studio guests to share a street fight story? About 3-4 weeks ago, somebody, I think it was Kevin Holland, he went into the restroom.
It was Kevin Holland, yeah.
Right, and he lit somebody up, maybe 1 or 2 people.
Because somebody had said something about his mom.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Somebody had offended his mom, so he went in there, handled it, and then I think came out, and nobody knew that had happened in there. He came out, had a good time, and that was it. He kind of got away with it. And then we had a guest right now, part of the Lion Fight team, their commentator, Nathan, and he was sharing a good street fight story that involved well, the fight didn't take place in the bathroom, but it almost took place in the bathroom. But he was standing up for a woman, too. So both of them were really good.
Eve, you ever get down in the bathroom?
No, man. I remember True Lies, that movie True Lies?
Yeah, that was a great fight.
My thing about that is, I would hate to fight in the bathroom, because if you slip and fall, bathrooms are disgusting, man. What if you go to, I wouldn't even, get on top of somebody in the bathroom. I don't want to touch the bathroom floor with anything other than the bottom of my shoes.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, only because you've divulged this on our show and in public, Eve, but wouldn't you have a slower response time than most? Not because you're not a badass fighter, but according to your number 2 process, you'd have to get fully clothed again and
right. Do you still do that?
It's surprising that you remember that, Ghost, but I don't.
Well, that was Dan that remembered it.
I don't use public bathrooms for those things.
That was Dan, our fight analyst, that remembered that.
Okay, George, you're the shirt
okay,
guy,
I'm
right?
sorry, Dad.
You're a no shirt guy?
I'm no shirt guy, yeah.
But he took it to another level.
He goes nude.
You're naked when you
keep your socks and shoes on, or are you all the way a jaybird?
I take dumps like I was born, George.
What if you got an earring? You even take that out too, or take off a hat?
Everything. I don't want anything touching me. If I could hover above the toilet, I would do that. I don't like things touching me when I'm getting down like that.
That's funny. All right.
Hey, so PFL, huh?
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Back to PFL, Week 6. How do we even get into that? Are you enjoying yourself so far in Season 2? Is there any big difference that stands out where you want to applaud the PFL for making a slight tweak to production or the fights themselves, or something that maybe we haven't caught with our naked eye as we are now in the ESPN era?
Well, there's definitely one thing I'm excited about is the level of fighter, the level of competition. Level of competition really went up. I mean, look at the fights last week with Andre Harrison and Movlid Haibulev, Chris Wade and Ahmed Aliev. Just the level of competition is up. Now the guys in the playoffs, I feel like last season there were 2 or 3 guys you knew were going to be in the finals and probably going to win it for every division. Now, especially in the featherweight division, I mean, Lance Palmer is there, Movlid is there, Andre is there. Rabadanov is no joke. There's a lot of guys in there that could potentially win that $1 million, and the matchups are really, really key now because of all of those high-quality guys that are in there.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. We've really, really enjoyed watching it go down, and then we get to see it up close and up front when you guys head to the Mandalay Bay in October for the playoffs. But first things first, this is the last regular season, and we got a main event of Kelvin Tiller versus Dennis Goldsloff. We talked to Tiller, and boy, that guy, I almost look forward more to talking non-X's and O's with him because he's such an inspirational dude. Everything he does for his community in Topeka, Kansas. I'm pretty sure you're aware of all that and how what a rough upbringing he's had, but how he's turned his life around and how he inspires his community.
Yeah, man, Tiller is a real one. And I love, like you said, I love how he gives back. There's always videos on his Instagram about him helping some of the kids in the neighborhood, even if it's just workouts, doing push-ups, different things. But he always gives back. The way the love that him and his mom share, the way she supports him, she's always at his fights. I guarantee you, if Kelvin Tiller was fighting in Russia at 4 a.m., and everybody left, she would still be in there screaming for him and cheering him on. That's she's that kind of woman, man. I really love those guys.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the other side, can you talk a little bit about Dennis Goldsloff and his skills and what he brings to the table?
Well, Goldsloff, man, he's dangerous. We saw him in there with Jared Rosholt. We saw him land one big jab, well, kind of a cross between a jab and a hook, and drop Jared and just jump on and take him out. I mean, this is a man with tons of Sambo fights, and I think this is one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about the Dagestani and a lot of the Russian fighters. They have all that combat Sambo experience, and that doesn't get factored into their MMA record. But these guys are 50, 100, like multiple hundreds of fights in combat Sambo, which is basically MMA with a gi. And he's a world champion in combat Sambo. Kelvin Tiller's hands are full, but I mean, so is Goldsloff. Goldsloff he's a dangerous guy. He's tall, he's long, he's rangy. He uses his footwork well. Tiller is going to have to bring all of his athleticism to the cage for this fight. That fight is a perfect main event for the light heavyweight card to show. That's the perfect main event to show like the talent of this division.
No doubt. Again, we're talking to Yves Edwards, who will be on the broadcasting table for PFL. PFL 2019 Week 6 is next Thursday, August 8th to be exact. They're back at the Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. The fights, which we don't really call prelim or main card, are just split for the purposes of calling them prelim and main card. But basically, every fight is equal, and they're going to start off on ESPN2 at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then they're going to transfer over to ESPN Plus at 9 p.m. Eastern. Same thing we see usually with the UFC. All right, let me turn it over to Goes. Here goes. What do you have for Yves Edwards?
Yves, in mixed martial arts in general, there's just so many fighters. When you look at independent rosters, you're now coming upon like 3, 4, 5 times that you've seen some of these fighters. Some of them are still new. But when you see these names come up, like, how familiar are you with them? Not their fighting style, but just the way they answer your questions before a fight, their mannerisms. How much have you connected with these people?
I feel like being a fighter myself, that definitely helps. Some of these guys have seen me fight, and a lot of them, you feel the respect that they give, and I appreciate that, man, especially the Russian guys, because I feel like I don't even know you guys saw my fights. I don't know how big the UFC was there. I know Fedor was wrecking shop in Pride, and you guys saw a lot of Pride, but I didn't realize you guys saw a bunch of the UFC fights, so I appreciate that. I get a lot of love from those guys, like Islam Mamedov, like Movlid. A lot of those guys give a lot of love, and because of that, it's easy to have conversations with them. We get a translator in there, and we have a good banter going back and forth. Especially though, where the Russians are concerned, they're very reserved about shit talking. They don't do a lot of shit talking. They kind of let their fighting speak for itself, and it really has, man. Like, let's take Magomed Karamov for one. Didn't talk a lot of smack at all. Won the championship. Came back this year and just kept poking at him poking at him, trying to get him to say something. And I said to him, I was wrong when I said it, because Chris Curtis, I thought Chris Curtis had asked for the fight, but I was confused. Chris Curtis had been asking for the Ray Cooper fight. But anyway, I told Magomed Karamov, Chris Curtis has been asking for this fight. And Magomed said the first thing I heard one of the Russian fighters with their smack talk was like, yeah, be careful what you wish for, man. I got a present for him. So that fight was good. They got 2 more rounds of that coming up, first round of the playoffs. So I'm really interested to see how that goes, because Magomed Karamov is sitting out with he's been injured for a bit. His hand is injured, but he will be back for the playoffs. And Chris Curtis, he lost the fight closely, but the onus is on the guy that wins these fights to come back and make improvements, because Curtis knows what he did wrong and knows where he needs to improve. You know, is Magomed Karamov going to recognize the spots where he has to improve and he can take things away from Curtis?
Yves, correct me if I'm wrong, but you fought out in Russia before, right?
I did, only once. And I fought an American, so that's weird. Like, Mike Brown and I went all the way to Russia to fight each other.
That's awesome. I remember him telling that story on our show. And how cool is it, George, this being our last show on Sirius? We were talking about kind of how the show came about, and we were saying the name Ryan Bennett, and we look on today's show, which is the last one on Sirius.
Right.
And Yves Edwards on there.
Yeah, you're right.
The planets align, huh?
They sure
do. Every time I hear his name, I miss Ryan, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. All right, let me turn it over to our
He
fight.
was the best.
He sure was. Mad respect to him. And when you've been in here in our studio, you've seen we got Ryan Bennett right on top of the cage here. We have a shout out to him because he inspired us. So we think about him all the time as well.
Man, it's hard to follow up on that, but I just got one thing for you, Yves. I don't know which show or what interview you were doing. I heard an interview of you recently talking about, I don't know if you were just kind of, taking the piss out of yourself, so to speak, or giving yourself crap, but you kind of hinted that you were getting in shape more than maybe just to get back in shape. Was there anything to that, Yves? Is there anything on the horizon, anything itching that you want to share with us?
There is nothing on the horizon, but I don't like closing doors. You know, the window for me to be a world champion is pretty much closed. I'm not looking to do anything like that. I love fighting. There's plenty of times sitting next to the cage, I'm watching these guys, and I'm like, oh, I just want to do it one more time, just one more time. But that's just me talking. There's no talks, there's no thoughts about it, but I do want to get in shape. I definitely love competing. I definitely will start doing some grappling tournaments again, but the door's not closed as far as me stepping inside the cage and throwing some punches. I would love to pull a Sean O'Connell and take the PFL, get the PFL to do some fights in Texas, and go in there and bust somebody up, and then come back out and get back on the mic and commentate.
Well,
that'd be fun.
Well, I'd love to see my favorite southpaw steal on some people, but I'll just say to you, Yves, what I said to these guys here because it's apropos. Regardless of what's in store for the future, man, the body of work that you've already laid down for whether it's fight nerds like myself, aspiring fighters, etc. It's just beautiful stuff, man. So you've always got an appreciation from all sides over here.
Man, I really appreciate that. It's weird because you look at the game now and you go back. I go back and watch my fights. And it's like, oh God, I really wish I could do that again. But fortunately, I had some fun in there, and I have some memories that will last my lifetime and maybe even more. So I appreciate the opportunity that I had to do that, and I appreciate the love that people like yourself and other fans give me for just doing something that I really enjoyed and just chased after a dream.
Yves, I want to ask you one question that's a big hot topic today, especially all week, but today. We've done a lot of covering the whole Chris Cyborg UFC drama, and I'm sure you know by now the UFC is not going to re-sign her. We've done a daily debate talking about where she should land next. You're with PFL. What would you tell Chris if she were to pull you aside and say, hey, well, sell me on the PFL. Should I go there? 155-pound division, Kayla Harrison. Sell me, Yves.
Okay, you're Chris. I'm coming to you to offer you the PFL.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to make $1 million?
Yes, I do.
That's pretty much all you have to say to Chris Cyborg. I mean, Sarah Kaufman is probably the biggest test for Kayla Harrison right now, and Sarah Kaufman is 135, is a true 135 pounder. She definitely has the skill set. And then Chris Cyborg. Kayla has come a long way in a short amount of time, but Cyborg would definitely have the experience edge, and that would be an uphill battle for a lot of the women inside the PFL right now, simply because the women haven't had their division for as long as the men have. They haven't been competing as long as Chris Cyborg has, and at the highest level, Chris has so much experience. She would definitely come in and be the favorite, even over a Kayla Harrison. So, like, Chris, if you want to make $1 million, you're welcome. And we're doing the women's lightweight division again next year. You know, she should definitely think about it. But that's what would be my offer. That's what my offer would be to her. You know, would you like to make $1 million?
Yeah, and from all accounts, the fighters love the way they're treated there. You guys are on the ESPN platform. That's 10 pounds less for her to lose. Lots of great reasons for her to at least consider it, right?
Absolutely. I would love to see Chris Cyborg fight inside the PFL. I mean, she's been one of the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts for a really long time. I mean, we talk about the greatest women's mixed martial artists, and her name is always in the conversation to compete against them. Gina Carano, she had that fight. Everybody talked about her fighting Ronda when Ronda was on her climb. I would have loved to see her versus Holly Holm, but we did get to see her against Amanda Nunes. Now, Nunes is the new up-and-comer. Chris Cyborg was the bar, you know what I mean? And she was the one that everybody was gunning for. All the women were gunning for. And for Amanda Nunes to beat Chris Cyborg, there's a reason for that. She looked at Chris Cyborg as someone she admired, someone she wanted to be like to a degree, and to go in there and step in there and to take Chris Cyborg out. While Cyborg is still strong, she may not be in her prime anymore, but it's not far behind her if she's not. You know what I mean? So she's definitely one of the all-time greats, especially for women's MMA, and she still has so many miles left in her tank.
Yeah. All right. Well, Yves, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. We look forward to your call, along with Sean O'Connell and Randy Couture, next Thursday at PFL 2019, Week 6, featuring the light heavyweights and the heavyweights. It's the final regular season before you guys get to the playoffs. And as you know, the playoffs at Mandalay Bay, we will hopefully be seeing you guys when you guys are down here in the fall.
You better hope that you don't see too much of me, because I'm going to be in your ear all day. I'm going to have you buying me lunch, George.
All right, you got it, man. No problem, Yves. Always a pleasure hanging out with a legend like you. Thanks again for your giving us some time on your Friday night. I hope you have a nice weekend.
Thank you, guys. You guys be good. Enjoy the fights tomorrow, man. I got Robbie all day.
All right, we'll see you.
Peace.
Hey, there you go. He threw in a little prediction there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's an old school prediction. Don't think that it's an ATT connection, because Robbie's no longer with ATT, and Colby currently is with ATT. But Yves is no longer a full-time ATT guy. But there you go. He decided to go with Robbie Lawler. So thanks again to Yves Edwards for his time. And again, next Thursday, PFL 2019, with a main event of Kelvin Tiller versus Dennis Goldslav. All right, we're going to take our last break. You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156. We will tidy up, do our final goodbyes, and talk a little bit about this fight card in New Jersey. So stay close, and we'll be right back.
excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
Sirius XM NFL Radio, Channel 88, will be live in Canton, Ohio for coverage of the 2019 Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement, and it begins tomorrow at 11 Eastern. Hear from the legends of the game all day long, as well as the class of 2019, including our own Gil Brandt, Tony Gonzalez, and more. All right. So let me get this out of the way. I want to thank all of our guests for the week, because that's all of our guests for today. Yves Edwards, Scott Kent, Nolan King, Dr. Steve Kim, Eric Nixick, Randy Couture, Ally Quinta Edruth, Joey Periotti, Stitch Duran, Kelvin Tiller, and Jeff Neal. Dan Tom, thanks for 2 years of your time here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show.
19 days
to
short
answer
of 2
some
years.
questions.
Really? 19 days.
Dan is still with MMA Junkie, still doing stuff. They're adding stuff to his plate. But our downsized show is really only going to be 30 minutes 2 times a week, early in the morning when Dan's actually going to bed. So he probably won't be featured.
Throw me under the bus.
He won't be featured on the new format MMA Junkie Radio Show. But see, that new format also is going to include times where we actually pull in a fighter or another media member. So on a day when we plan it out right, and maybe your schedule's a little light, you will be hearing Dan Tom some more. But thanks seriously for your efforts these last 2 years, and we really always cheer for you with your breakdowns, and so many people taking notice, and so many people just loving your work, including myself, a gambler who definitely listens to the Protect Your Neck podcast. Check that out, dropping every Friday. Check it out on iTunes. Give him a follow, a subscribe, a review. I know he appreciates it, and that way his platform can grow as well. So
and soak everything up. I hope you're soaking it up the way we are, because you're a big part of the show. So everything that gets directed our way is directed your way as well. This is a team thing and a family.
That means a lot coming from you guys. Obviously, very close with you guys even before the show. And yeah, thank you for kind of, clarifying that. Of course, we were sitting on news till you guys broke it here this week, and wanted to respect that. But yeah, like I said on my last podcast, I essentially poured a cheers here. Like I said on my last podcast, and like I tweeted, it's all going to tie in here. This is Glenfiddich single malt Scotch whiskey. I'm a big Scotch fan, but my best buddy Brian. Another Brian there, that's very close to me. He gave me this on the 100 episode anniversary show for the Protect Your Neck podcast, and as a gift to me, just kind of saying that he's like, man, we're guys, we're not really emotional or sentimental type, but he's like, I'm really proud of you, seeing how far you work and da-da-da-da. And I drank some that night, and that was a live podcast. If you heard that one, listeners there, this is the same bottle from that show, and I figured we'd just kill it off right now because it is 14 years aged. And I said in the podcast, if we're going back to when I started listening to you guys as Tag Radio, it wasn't him. I started listening to you guys in the Tag iteration. Not one of the first OGs. I'm not going to claim that, but long enough to appreciate your guys' ride. And you do that math from 2006, we're already almost 2020. It's going to sneak up on us faster than we caught that. It's practically 14 years, and regardless if it's not 14 years or not, it doesn't matter because, like you guys said, the show isn't over. And just even near 14 years, you guys understand the magnitude of that? Like, Ariel did a killer job when he did the MMA Hour. Luke has his own show. There's a bunch of other shows out there. There's a bunch of other podcasts. They may do well on certain days, but I'll wait. We don't have time for me to wait, but go name a show that did Monday through Friday. And I'm going to toot your guys' horns because you guys are too modest to, that did that. And it's unprecedented. It's a run that I don't think is going to be touched. I think DJ's and Anderson Silva's title defenses, those things will be touched, as crazy and as hard as that is to accomplish. But in our same sport, you guys operate in the same history books as those guys, even though you do different roles. And within that history book, guys, you know how hard it's going to be for another show to do that? And if it does, it's going to take them another 15 years because they're going to have to start now. And they're going to have to keep that up through everything you guys, have been through and whatnot. And I think kind of like Nolan was on here earlier, those connections, you guys have been a big preacher of that. And I think that'll thrive on. You don't need me to trumpet that. I guess I'll just leave it and close it off as this is the analogy I led in my podcast, kind of like Matt Damon at the end of, or the beginning as well, at the end of Saving Private Ryan. He's at the grave. And I just hope that I did a good job for you guys because you guys are well aware if the audience is not of my self-deprecating nature, I'm probably a little too hard on myself at times, and you did do a great job, and that was one thing I want to do, and not just for you guys too, is I'm saying that to you guys, but I'm also saying it to the listeners because I'm I am a listener. I even when I'm on the show, guys, even though my role stepped down a bit this year, I'm still listening to all the shows. I'm still an MMA Junkie fan. I've been listening to you guys. That's not going to change for me. I'm still going to support you guys in every way possible. That's going to be
thank you, brother.
Unsaid, whether it's this or whether it's as a fan. But I just hope I did the listeners a service too, because there's been so many iterations of your guys' show. A guy I looked up to, Joey Varner, who was my kickboxing coach. He had a great stint on this show, and I would never thought I would be, teaching a class at Extreme Couture or being on here, but here I am. So being able to just kind of follow the mold from people I respect, from you guys to Joey, and to say that, I got to be in like some chapter of it too, like that's an honor, man. And I hope you guys know that, how honored I am for that.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. We love you, man. That was a great run that you had with us, and you're still with Junkie. MMA Junkie Radio is still going to live on. It's just our time with SiriusXM is over. So thank you to Kelly and Josh, who are back east right now at this time. And, of course, if you all can continue to pass on the thanks to the whole SiriusXM family. You guys gave us a great platform, and we really, really appreciate you all. The MMA Junkie Radio show will continue in about a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. We're still going through some things, but the show will live, and you got to go to MMA Junkie to see all that. But basically, yeah, it's going to be downsized a little bit. Goz and I are going to float over to the video side of things for a while. And at the same time, I also want to say, through USA Today's and MMA Junkie's blessings, we're also going to do a little bit of a side project, the Gorgeous George and Goz Show on Patreon. If you go to www.patreon.com, we've already started kind of giving you an idea, an identity, an intro there of what we're doing. So check it out. You can help support us as we kind of go on this independent endeavor with Richard Hunter, who has helped us get that going from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. Also, quick shout out to Mike Bond. Today's his 6-year anniversary.
That's right, anniversary.
MMA Junkie, yeah. And you follow us on Twitter, at MMA Junkie George, at The Goz, at Dan Tom MMA. We're not going anywhere. It's just our time with SiriusXM is up, and perhaps we'll cross paths another time, but we had a great 5 years with those guys. Yeah. So to that, let's toast, no?
Yes, and by the way...
Goz, did you want to say something? So we have 90 seconds?
I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to say, I hope everybody enjoyed the show as much as we have doing it, and that's like the biggest blessing for me, is to know that people enjoyed it as much as we did doing it.
Yeah, and this is a cheers to audience, people listening. And even though Sirius, you guys can't drink on the job, this is a cheers to you guys too, even though you guys can't drink. All you producers are such hard-working MFers, boys and girls, everyone that I've gotten to work with, and much respect to all you guys too.
Can you put Chris through Seattle through real fast? Chris, you got about 20 seconds.
Hey, what's up, George, Dan, Goz? Just want to say thanks for everything.
Thank you, buddy.
I know it's not the end, man. I'm looking forward to 3000 show, because the Junkies, we wanted to get together.
All right.
And make that happen.
Thank you for the call, buddy. Much love over there. Kelly and Josh, hopefully you guys are toasting your Coke, because we're drinking over here. Folks, we are out of here. You hear the music. Continue to support Fight Nation Channel 156. They kick ass. They got pro wrestling and boxing and mixed martial arts. They're still our family, and we're out of here. Remember to catch us at MMAJunkie.com. Always, I guess it's the final time. Go out there and be a champion.